Welcome to Storytime. I'm your host and author, Cherie Baker. Today we'll be reading from Coffee Cakes and Dragon Eggs, a cozy fantasy set in modern-day England. Enjoy! Chapter 17. Eliza leapt back from the door, shaking her head violently. The man-thing giggled and leapt off. Flakes of lime mortar rained down on her as it scrambled up the brick wall and disappeared into a gap at the top. The builders had made a false ceiling for the workshops there. The creature was too small to be a zombie, and everyone said they weren't real. So what was that thing? She mulled over all the creatures she'd heard stories about and settled on vampires. They turned into bats, so it made sense they could become tiny. Eliza wiped a paw over the bite mark. It hadn't broken through her scales, so she was okay. But Auntie had soft people skin. She'd be in danger. She had to find that creature, and quickly. Auntie's arthritis would slow her down, and the little vamp thing looked sneaky. It could probably suck Auntie dry in minutes. Eliza looked up at the unused space. So many spiders had made their homes in the area, great festoons of the dirty webs draped across the walls like creepy Christmas garlands. Eliza scrambled up the wall and ran a claw through the dust, leaving a divot almost an inch deep. This was disgusting. No telling what germs lived in that, and it was just plain gross. But Violet might get bitten and turned into a vampire slave if the monster found her. I wish it were cleaner, Eliza whispered. Of course, nothing happened. Yesterday's shrinking to fit into the heating grate must have been a figment of her imagination. The world couldn't magically get bigger and smaller. Maybe she'd been ill or something. She folded her wings tight to her sides, pressed her ear fins close to her neck, and shoved her snout out to slither in. Eliza's hind legs flattened out straight behind her, the floor and ceiling pressed against her sides so tightly she couldn't even crawl. But there was enough room to shimmy side to side and scoot onwards using her belly scales like a snake. I wish I fit better. Again, that changed nothing, but she had to check. Eliza inched towards the sliver of light coming from a vent in the workshop. The tiny monster waved and leapt through the opening. Suddenly, the light failed, casting the crawl space into darkness. Exasperated expletives echoed off the walls from that carpenter woman. Eliza would have put her paws over her ears if she could have lifted them. She wasn't supposed to hear that kind of potty talk. Granny said it was a bad influence to make young ladies sound like gutter rubbish. Something changed. Karen shouted again, louder this time. The imp giggled. Karen stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Then the light came back on. Eliza shimmied to the vent and peered through the mesh. Blood stained the floor around a chisel. The imp ran a finger through the puddle, licked the tip of it. Shudders rocked Eliza. She'd been right. The thing was a vampire. She needed to get out and warn Violet. Eliza started shuffling backwards, but her scales didn't flow in that direction. She tried to turn around and got wedged in the corner. But she didn't panic until the imp flew in and waved the blood-stained hand at her. How horrible! Eliza thrashed around, trying to get away. The vamp smeared the tip of Eliza's snout with a messy digit. She threw herself back. The ceiling plaster gave away. Eliza fell to the ground in the carpenter's workshop, followed by a shower of drywall and plaster. The imp rolled around on the workbench, clutching his gut and laughing so hard he turned a funny color. Eliza looked around. Although the room was empty, plain people would see her if she stayed here. She bashed the workshop's plywood door open and sprinted into the hall. The door at the end led to the safety of the engine room, but that was locked, and it was much stronger than the flimsy workshop doors. Hitting it merely bruised her paw. As she spun round in quick circles, looking for an escape, the sun sparkled off the nearby river. Eliza raced over and leapt in. The cool water swallowed her. Once she was safely concealed, she swam as fast as she could under the mill walls and back into her bathing pool. On her way, she noticed a damp lump in the bottom of the pool. Eliza swam down through the swift current to grab it. The thing tumbled away. She snatched at it a second time and raced back to the surface. When she held up her prize, shock turned her paws numb. She dropped the human skull. It tumbled across the damp stone floor, so that empty eye sockets stared back. Deep grooves like teeth marks ribbed the edge of the brow. Oh dear, this is so much worse than she'd thought. The mini vampires killed Karen and ate her whole body. Panic threatened to choke Eliza. Easy, easy, golden girl. You got this. She started stroking her tummy and arms until she calmed down enough to breathe normally. If a vampire was in the mill, she needed to sanctify the space to make it go away. That would mean crosses, lots of them, and garlic, and holy water. Eliza looked up at the frothing waterfall. It looked clean, but would that make it holy? Violet had a holy book in the lounge. Maybe putting that in the bathing pool would wash some of the goodness off. Eliza ran up to the stairs to get the Bible. If you've enjoyed this section, please like and subscribe. New chapters will be recorded weekly. Alternatively, check out the description for places to purchase the book.